Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy. I am glad you're here. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about conflict. Conflict in the workplace, especially, and some concerns with conflict. Is conflict a bad thing, or is it a good thing, or you're not sure? Where do you stand? Is conflict bad? I don't think conflict is bad if managed well. However, if it's not managed properly, it can be bad. It uncovers issues. That's the good thing about conflict. If you don't have a conflict, you're not going to know what the problems are and know how to address them. So addressing conflict is important. Having conflict is important. We just hope that you're not having the same issue or the same problems arising every single time. Secondly, harmony means everyone agreeing? No. Doesn't mean that when everybody's having a good time and everyone is in terms means that they all agree. No. We've all heard the saying, let's agree to disagree. But you want to do it in a respectful manner. If I say 1 + 1 is 2, or 1 + 1 is 3, rather. If I say 1 + 1 is 3, you should say, no, that's not correct. 1 + 1 is 2. I think you should double check. You must, maybe you made a mistake. 1 + 1 is 2 and not 3. You should let the person know that they made a mistake. Even if they don't know they made a mistake and they just did not know, you let the person know that's not correct. 1 + 1 is 2 and not 3. Not be disrespectful about it. I don't know why someone will do that, maybe to make the person feel bad, or it makes you feel good about yourself when you make somebody else feel bad. There's some human beings like that in the world today. You feel good, you feel great when you make somebody else feel horrible. That doesn't make any sense, but it happens, unfortunately. Do not do that. Do not be disrespectful about that. You should always respect your colleague, your employees, your co-workers. This doesn't just go to your administrators and your managers. This is your peers, people you're working with. You should respect them and value what they say. If you disagree, it's okay, but you have to do it in a very polite and respectful manner. Conflict can damage relationships, yes. If you avoid the conflict, you're not going to be able to fix it. So you want to make sure that once those things come up, you address it. This is the reason why we're having this conflict. When you treat me this way, I feel a certain kind of way. When you speak to me this way, I feel a certain kind of way. If I tell you when you speak to me in this tone, I feel this way or in that way or whatever is going on in the workplace, it should never happen again. That is how the relationship with your staff, the relationship with your colleagues would grow and will get better, because from those previous conflicts, and then you're not even having as much conflict, because if you had 5 conflicts last month about a water bottle, you're not going to have any conflict about water bottle this month, and you probably will not have 5. You may have 3 or less. So try to keep in mind that conflict is not necessarily a bad thing. It's okay to have them. Just make sure that you address them and make sure they don't happen again, because we cannot be having conflict about the same thing. If you and I are having conflict about the same thing, then we do not have an understanding. That's a whole separate video course about communication and proper communication. I mean, paying attention, listening when people are talking to you and all of that. Because if your communication is 0, then conflict is bound to arise every single time you open your mouth, because your communication is poor. You're not listening carefully to what the person is saying or what the person is trying to say. So many things can get in the way of that. So make sure your communication is just as good. Make sure that you can understand what the person's saying. If it's not clear, have the person repeat it, have the person say it again, or Rephrase the statement and try to say it back to them. That way you're on the same page. The moment you start doing that, you're just going to realize after a while, wait a minute, no conflict? Why? Because you have learned to understand what the person is saying. At the same time, you are open about your needs. You're open about your expectations. You expect to be respected regardless of whether you think what I'm doing or what I'm saying is wrong, but you would respect, it's earned, so you have to make sure that while you're expecting that respect, that of course you are respecting yourself as well. You're speaking in a respectful tone and manner and being kind. We should always be kind to everyone we come in contact with, not just our work. So conflict can damage a relationship. Number 4, leaders should avoid conflict. Leaders should avoid conflict. Strong leaders know how to facilitate. Yes, we do. Tough conversations, setting boundaries, and find common ground. But the thing is, as a leader, it takes a lot to lead. It takes a lot because you have to wear the bigger pants. How do you say it? Be the bigger person. When they go low, you go high. You come up with any, you can add them in the comments below. And as a leader, you have to learn to rise above your pettiness. You have to rise above that mess. You can't be involved in it because your job is to facilitate. Your job is to lead and make sure that everyone is thriving and your team is successful. So you being caught up in that conflict, who is now going to resolve it if the leader and team and everyone is involved in the conflicts? You're going to get a mediator to come fix what's going on. You want to avoid that as a leader and try to step away. Learn to decompress. Learn to be mindful of your emotions. You should be able to control your emotions and take some training, some courses, not just even the leaders, the staff as well. It's very important to participate in some training to help you do better at what you do, how you say what you say, your feelings, empathy. We have a video on empathy, and things like that. Because if I am respectful and kind and I feel a certain way about you and how you speak and everything, then it's easier for me to communicate or share my opinion or tell you what's going on without worrying about judging how I say what I say and not paying attention to what I'm saying. It's so easy to just have conflict. It's so easy. This is how you said it. You said it in this tone. You said it in this manner. You're staring at me when you said it. You didn't look in my eyes. Those are all multiple forms of communication. So you do it poorly and you easily will be misunderstood. So just be careful about your, modes of communication and making sure that your body language is just as polite as what's coming out of your mouth. If not, no, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. You'll be caught up in that kind of conversation. You never want to be caught up in that conversation. Be clear and direct. That way you are understood. Winning an argument, that's the final one. You don't want to have the idea or think that while I'm having this conversation, my main goal is to win this argument. No. As a leader, that cannot be it. You're not going to win the argument. That should not be your goal. Your goal is to make sure that there is an understanding, to make sure that you both are winning. If I'm having an argument with someone or I'm having a conflict with someone and I'm telling you how I feel, you're telling me how you feel, what I did, what I said, in the tone it came out, you felt disrespected, then I shouldn't be upset that you're telling me you felt disrespected. I shouldn't be. Instead, I should be able to control my emotions and say and apologize. And then after apologizing, You cannot explain. You did not mean to sound disrespectful, and then you cannot explain, what can I do better, or how do I say this in a more, you guys have to come to a mutual understanding about what the expectations are. The moment you both understand that, you both will be happy, because then no one is trying to win the argument. So make sure that you're communicating to reduce that conflict. The conflict is not bad. Having conflict is not bad. Just make sure that you have some self-control. Self-control. You should have self-control. You should be able to manage your emotions. It's hard. It sounds like, but you should be able to manage your emotions, because sometimes you want to say some things and just hold your lips. Don't say anything. Don't do anything, because do not think that if I say something, then it's going to make the conflict go away. We know that if I say this, it's just going to escalate the situation. We know. So let's just listen to that voice in our head saying, don't do it, don't say it. Because if I say that, it's going to escalate this. So just keep quiet, and move on. You are not avoiding a conflict. You guys are discussing, express your concern, and then you both make an effort to meet each other halfway. If that makes sense. Thank you so much for watching. Do not run away from conflict. Conflict is not a bad thing. Do not run away from it. Just make sure that it's addressed. If it's happening in the workplace, if it's happening too often, you want to sit down with your team to discuss what the issue is. There is an issue with trust. There is an issue with leadership if that's happening too often. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.